Hi everyone, this is Ashley with CTandRina Digitals. I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how to use my new circle and gradient overlays in Photoshop. I have a few images open that I'm going to do. These are super simple to use. I did make a lot of them, I think like 120 total. Sorry, I always overlay on that. You may use them all, you may use only a couple and change the color. It is completely up to you, but there are a bunch of different ones in there for you to use. So first I am going to have my images open that I want to use. I already started these ones just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to do the full thing on this. First thing you're going to want to do is go to your quick selection tool over here in your tools and go to select subject. Or if you're using the new box that is down there. So the circle is only going to be this portion of the image, the top portion, so I'm not going to worry about basically anything below her knees. And then you can just zoom in and make sure that it's selected pretty good. I usually don't touch the hair. I am going to get her ear right here though. I usually don't touch the hair because Photoshop is typically pretty good with getting like enough flyaways in there. And then because if I add more to it, it's going to get bulky and it's going to select too much of the background. So then I'm going to duplicate my layer and create a layer mask. And then on my keyboard, I'm going to press Control or Command, if you're on Mac, plus I on my keyboard to, oops, not O, I, to invert that layer. And then I'm going to go up to File and Place Embedded. And I'm going to navigate to the folder with my overlays in it. And as you can see, there is a bunch of different options. For this one, I'm honestly not sure which one I want to use. I want to use a gray or a black. I think I'm going to try this one. This might be too light. And then go ahead and resize and center on my image here. And then I'm going to press Control on my keyboard, hold down, I'm sorry, not Control, Alt. I'm going to hold down Alt on my keyboard and click between these layers. You can also right click and just create clipping mask, but it's much quicker if you just use your keyboard. Okay, so I could be done with this, but most of the time you are probably going to want to use a different blending mode. Multiply blending mode is a popular one to use, or I shouldn't say popular, it's what I use. I use 3 different ones most often. I use multiply, I use screen, and I use soft light. You can use overlay too. It's a little bit harder to blend when you use that one with specific ones. So I'm going to use probably soft light for this one. Or multiply, I don't know which one looks better here. I kind of like the way multiply looks. I kind of like the dark behind her on the white backdrop. And then you would just zoom in and clean up any edges. Like, this is very minimal, but you would come down here to the layer mask. To paint on, you would use a white brush. To paint off, you would use a black brush. Use a soft brush at 100% opacity. And then just brush it on. Like I said, this is very minimal. You probably wouldn't even be able to see it or be able to tell in the final image. And then just go around and make sure there's no harsh lines or anything where you need to take it off of their skin or brush it on. And that's it. I would be done with that one. Next one. So the only thing I already did was I selected my subject and inverted that layer. So, which is what I did on this one too. I just already did on the following ones to be a little bit quicker. So File, Place Embedded. She has like green leaves on her dress. So I would probably maybe try to match that. This is kind of like a sage one. Make it as little or as big as you want. Center it, or it might not be center, which is fine. And I want it to be a little bit less saturated. So I'm just going to add a hue saturation layer. And I'm going to click this right here to create a clipping mask. So I'm only working on the gradient and not the backdrop itself. And I'm just going to drag that saturation down a little bit. And this is where you could also change the color of it completely if you wanted to. Leave it there. I actually did tweak it just a little bit. And then I'm going to merge these two layers and then hold down Alt and click in between. Now it looks like this is a little bit brighter on this side, so I would probably just go ahead and flip that. Didn't even really seem to make a difference at all. Multiply. And you can go through all of them and see if you like one more than the other. Soft light. Screen would be too bright for this one. I think multiply it looks better on like brighter or whiter backdrops, and then you're probably going to want to use like soft light and screen on the darker backdrops. I'm sorry. So now this one was more of a solid circle and wasn't so much of a gradient, but if you wanted it to kind of start to disappear down here, all you would have to do is just create a layer mask on that circle and take a bigger black brush at like 50% opacity and just drag it across the bottom. Brush in a little bit at a time, and that would start to disappear. So it would be a pretty like halo effect over the image. And then again, I would zoom in and clean up any edges that you need to clean up. And I would be done with that one. This one's a darker one. So we'll go up to File, Place Embedded. Not sure what color. Can try one of our more bold. This is like a brown to tan. Some of them are like rainbow. Here's a pretty tan one. Let's try this one here. Center. Hold down Alt and click between, and now I would probably use soft light here or screen. That screen would kind of be too much, but you could do screen and then lower the opacity on it and it would be okay. Soft light, I would probably still lower the opacity on that a little bit because I would want it to be more subtle. And multiply it. That still looks good though on the dark backdrop. It would just be a darker one, but I would probably keep it on soft light. If you wanted to play around after you have it on the blending mode, you can do that. Just unclip it from back here so I can work on only my circle, and it'll be over your subject for now, which is fine. If I wasn't sure what certain different colors would look like, I could play around with this and see if there's one that I preferred more, which I don't really. You can mess around with the saturation. I just want to keep it there, so I can just clip it behind my subject again and be done. Again, zoom in and go around the edges and clean it up if you need to. Next one, I think I'm going to use a red one for this one. Okay. Center it. And you could, so I'm going to change this real quick. Let me do this one on screen and bring it down so it's very minimal. And then I can put it behind her. And you can also, if you uncheck this box up here, you can also do like an oval too. You don't have, in different shapes, you don't have to keep it completely circle. So you can mess around with that to do it a different way as well. Again, clean up the edges and I would be done. This one, same thing all over again. Don't forget to select your subject and invert your layer. So this is like a multi-toned one, which I wonder if I have a... So the ones up here, so these ones on the bottom, I did the bottom ones, those are all solid colors. And then these ones are like pastels and translucents and iridescents and all kind of multicolor ones. Let's see what color we're working with here. So it'd be a purple. I haven't gotten, oops. Let's try again. I want to keep my proportions with this one, so I'm going to check that again up there. I haven't played around with these too much or gotten too crazy with them. You can keep it on normal and lower the opacity. They've been fun to play around with, and they add a nice touch to your image. I'm going to do soft light, and then if you want, you can go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and you can blur it out too, so it's a little bit more blended into your backdrop. I don't like how that looks as much. It kind of looks like there's a big button on the backdrop. I actually don't think I like that one as much. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to replace contents, and that's just going to pull them right up again. And I can play around with different ones that might look better. That's pretty. I might actually like change the color of the backdrop itself to match that, and then you can lay textures over them, do whatever you want with them really, but that's how to use them. Place them behind your subject, play with different blending modes, change the shape, and that's it. If you have any questions, or I guess let me show you one more thing. If you have, it's another thing, you could create a layer mask on this, and instead of just brushing out some of it, you could use a hard brush and even take some of it off. If you hold down Shift on your keyboard, it does a straight line. That's all I'm doing, just to take that total top off. Kind of looks cool if we flip it vertical, and then it's kind of like a horizon shape behind her. If we mess with it, flatten it out. Yeah, this is the first time I'm playing with them too. It's fun. So definitely, after you watch the tutorial, play around with them. Make sure you go to the Facebook group and share your images, because I love to see them all the time. The link for the Facebook group is in the listing description.